Grammy-winning composer Stephen Hartke is this year's Howard Hanson Visiting Professor at the Eastman School of Music, and he is in studio with us today. Welcome. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
What brings you to Rochester? You have a residency this week at Eastman. What will come from that?
Well, I'll be working with a fair number of students, giving them lessons. I have a presentation to give about my own work, but largely I'm here to rehearse for fairly sizable pieces that are being done on 2 concerts next week.
Let's dive in on those.
Okay.
One on Monday, and then the other on Tuesday. What will we hear Monday, and what will we hear Tuesday?
Okay. On Monday, the Wind Ensemble, which is really one of the finest wind ensembles that there ever was, and ever will be, I think, is doing a piece called Pacific Rim, which is a piece that I wrote. It's kind of about the cultural mix of L.A., where I was living at the time. So the first part has a strong Asian flavor to it, and the second part is more on the Latin side. And then they're doing a piece for saxophone and ensemble that's called Willow Run, that was commissioned by a photographer, Ernestine Rubin, who was whose grandfather designed the Willow Run bomber factory outside of Detroit, and she went to document it before it was torn down. So this piece has some tinges of 1940s saxophone style. It's not a jazzy piece as such, but it's lurking under the surface. And then on Tuesday, there are 2 large chamber pieces that are being done. One is called Woolston at the Millennium, and that's a piece that's about medieval music, about the coloration and the rhythm of medieval music. It's an abstract liturgy in 12 movements. And then the other piece is for soprano and a very strange ensemble of 4 flutes, 4 guitars, and 4 bassoons called Sons of Noah. And it is from a text that was written by a 19th century Brazilian author, Machado de Assis, that imagines Noah and his sons and their families aboard the ark before they've come to rest, and the sons start fighting about who's going to get what. So it's a satire of human nature.
We mentioned the Grammy Award off the top in 2013 for Best Contemporary Classical Composition, incidental music to imaginary puppet plays, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're called Meanwhile. Yeah.
Meanwhile, yeah. It's nice to have a Grammy on the shelf, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange.
And being here in Rochester this week at Eastman, as we mentioned before we started, certainly we take great pride in Eastman here in our community. We should for good reason. There's a lot of talent there, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's one of the greatest schools of music in the world, and it's not just, you know, a great gem in American education, but just in general. And it's a great pleasure to work with the students here. Especially the young composers. They're terrific.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you in studio as well. It's great to have your insight and your expertise at Eastman through these residencies. So thank you for your time, Stephen.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So check it out again next Monday and Tuesday. Eastman School of Music presenting these performances with Stephen Hartke as well. You can learn more online at esm.rochester.edu. And as always, we'll share that on our site as well at rochesterfirst.com.